Welcome to VR Day, the first virtual reality meeting in Paraíba, Brazil, supported by the federal government, by the Aldir Blanc Law, and the Municipal City Hall of João Pessoa. It's a huge pleasure to be with Jayson Schnoor and João Pedro in VR Day. Jayson Schnoor é chefe de operações. Jay tem mais de uma década de experiência na indústria da educação e de desenvolvimento internacional. Ele recrutou estudantes em mais de 52 países para 24 programas universitários diferentes do Reino Unido e nos Estados Unidos. Fez investigação em educação e desenvolvimento comunitário no Cairo durante a Primavera Árabe e adora pensar em volta. Os seus pontos fortes estão centrados em torno de relações, formações de equipes e colaborações. Ele acredita verdadeiramente que a exposição à educação internacional para cada estudante global é o caminho para uma paz global duradoura. Jay dedicou-se a um objetivo profissional, criar mais acesso à educação internacional para todos os estudantes globais e mudar a forma como ascendemos a essa educação. Foi isto que levou à fundação da VEDX com a sua equipe, produzir conteúdos de realidade virtual e proporcionar às escolas uma forma de entrar neste campo tem sido uma viagem extraordinária. Tem 18 centros de vendas nas Américas e fizeram uma parceria com a Twain XR para trazer o conteúdo de VR para o Brasil. Nosso convidado de hoje e com você, João Pedro.
Ok, muito obrigado pelo convite, Priscila. Obrigado, Jay. Thanks, Jay, for accepting this invitation. Meu nome é João Pedro, sou cofundador da Twain XR Education, trabalho junto ao Jay através da VEDX. Nós temos essa grande empreitada de disseminar o conteúdo de realidade virtual aqui no Brasil e na América Latina. E thank you, Jay, for accepting this invitation. Let's talk about education in VR, metaverse. Let's talk about business development in VR. Let's dive into that. So Jay, first of all, like you have a very big, very extensive educational background, and now you jump into the metaverse business for education. So talk a little bit about that, like your motivation behind it, and tell us a little bit about your story so people can know like how someone like you jumped into the metaverse and maybe they can, be inspired and enter the field as well. So talk a little bit about yourself, your story. We'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. Obrigado. Thank you for thanks for bringing me on. It's a pleasure to speak. I've traveled to Brazil multiple times, Recife and São Paulo and Brasilia, Curitiba. I love traveling down there, and that was for international student recruitment. So we would meet with embassies and students and families and talk about education. Now, I have a very specific story to answer your question, JP, and that is, I was at a educational fair back in 2014, and this student rode a bus for 2 hours to come speak to me at a fair about the university I was representing at the time. And it was, to go to the university in the United States, it's like, maybe $200,000 for the whole degree. And that's expensive, and a lot of people can't afford that. And so from that point forward, I had focused on access. Like, how do we get education to people that can't actually travel? And virtual reality hit in 2015, but the goggles were still connected to the computer. It took a lot of hardware and processing. It wasn't really until 2020 with the release of Quest 1, and then finally the release of Oculus Quest 2, along with Pico and the Focus 5, that standalone headsets started to offer real access. And so in 2018 and 19, me and a couple of colleagues began talking about this idea of access and education. And we thought, why do online degrees, what do they miss? Well, online degrees miss connection, emotional and social connection. And we thought virtual reality could provide that new. And so with the release of the standalone headsets, we decided to go after it. So myself and the other 6 founders are they're global. We have a founder in Bogota, Colombia. We have a founder in Panama City, Panama, and then the rest are US based. Nice. And so we had already worked together for a long time. And so we went after it. Our CTO is in Turkey, and he is teaching at a university. He does a lot of research in VR. We put together an advisory board, and we went after it. We partnered with what we thought are the best VR platforms in the world. If you look behind us, this is the Infiniverse, just released over Christmas, now has almost 80,000 residents, foot traffic, residents.
Right.
And we're building an educational park to go with it. But to finish that question, how did I jump in here? It was all around access. And after we partnered with about 20 VR design companies and started working on some of our own content for career development and multiplayer spaces, we were ready to launch. And when we partnered with Twain out of Brazil for the operational partner in Brazil, it's so exciting to have you as a partner, JP, nice. Down in Brazil operating VEDX. So thank you for that.
Of course, no, it's my pleasure. So great motivator, giving access to education and providing that reach to students all around the world. I mean, I think that's one of the key benefits of VR. The possibilities in education is huge. And now, especially after Mark Zuckerberg decided to talk about the metaverse and talk about his investment in that.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
By the way, we are getting a lot of way more interested, right? Now we have way more people, that really want to dive in. They want to know more about the metaverse. And not only let's just close a little and talk about VR, for example. People are more open now. So what can you say about universities, schools, VR as an educational tool being more valued now, now the perception around it? So please tell us a little bit about that. How is the business side of that going regarding all the changes in the past 2 years?
Sure. There's 2 sides to this. One, there's the institutional side, universities, schools that want to educate in VR. And then there's the other side, which is corporations that want to do professional development, DEI, training, multiplayer spaces across the country so that they can save money on travel. So both of those fall into sort of our educational aspect. We're just trying to educate people and give access. Now, focusing in on the institution, university, and education, and the value that VR now brings, twofold. One, any online distance education being offered by a university can now incorporate labs that couldn't have been done without a physical space before. And that's huge, right? Yeah. Now, not only can you do labs, but all of your online students can connect in a social space to feel connected to that university rather than just sort of taking this online degree. So 2020 not only helped the metaverse, but it also helped build out and give credibility to online degrees, because every university was forced to invest in their virtual education. And now they're looking at it, okay, COVID's ending. How do we make this investment continue to work for us? And that is bring virtual reality to your degrees, to your online degrees. So keep your LMS, keep your SIS, but add virtual reality to bring in that social and emotional component to your students. So they feel tied to your university, tied to your professors, tied to your teachers, and they can collaborate together in virtual reality spaces. Like I said, this Infiniverse, developed by Future Tech Labs behind me, has spaces that can be private or public, lecture halls that can be given a lecture to students. You can live stream in, you can build out your university as a building. One of these blue buildings would say, you know, maybe OSU on it. And then inside of there is all the OSU assets. And then we're going to put those buildings around a park, a knowledge district park, to allow universities to really have a presence. Now, back to the question about virtual reality and its emerging future. Many schools in 2015 to 2020 experimented with virtual reality, but they had cardboard glasses and wired headsets, and they're like, this is probably going to fade, but it's not. As you can tell, Facebook putting 20% of its assets into Meta right now to continue to grow it, and Bill Gates saying in 3 years, every business and university will have some sort of VR component as part of their growth strategy. We can see it's not going away. Now, what will change is right now, these goggles, this is the Quest 2 that was just released last year. We will see a reduction in size and awkwardness, and hopefully one day they'll be just like this visor that darkens and you can
like
go
regular,
into your VR spot. But it's fully immersive. And I think that every institution, business and university, should be considering what they're going to do in this new metaverse. I mean, think of prior to this, universities were like, well, where's the foot traffic? But if you look at the city behind me, 80,000 residents playing around in front of a university building, you've got foot traffic.
Exactly. Like, and also it adds, like, it totally covers the social component, exchange of ideas, meeting new people all around the world, right? Like, so you have in one space, for example, 80,000 people all around the world. You have people from Korea and you have people from America, and you can just like relate, exchange, maybe even sell in the future. Like, that's very strong, this aspect in the future of the Web3, contemplating a full metaverse, like the correct definition of metaverse. Like, we're going to exchange not only data, we're going to exchange, literally we're going to trade, we're going to buy and purchase. So we're going to have different experiences, which opens more business, right? Like, so and I think that even like with all its current challenges, we still face this amazing opportunity of now companies, like even in countries that are not very friendly regarding hardware. For example, Brazil has a huge challenge with hardware right now. But now it's the perfect opportunity for companies, in all sorts of companies, not only education, so not only universities, but to think about what about the metaverse strategy for the next 5 years. Now it's the time, because now you don't have like, there are of course a lot of people with FOMO, a lot of people with like just fear of missing out, but there are a lot of companies that are also considering, how can I be strategic in this new field of the metaverse, right?
And how can I get into new markets, right? Like the web brought people together. I mean, shrunk the world. Web3 has shrunk it even more. I mean, people all around the world can go virtually to the DigiSpace behind me, walk into a storefront, look at the products, see a showroom, click on a product, and order online. I mean, so it takes a web page and brings it to life. And that's what this is. It's got to be built into the strategic future of, for us, we're really focused on education, but the strategic focus for companies and universities alike. On that note, if universities are watching this, please start considering putting a VR lab in your university, start a program for virtual reality coders. We're going to need a lot of them. So the future of the metaverse is dependent on universities really coming into actually building programs so that their students can help build the metaverse. This is a collaborative project around the world.
Exactly. And on that note, what do you think about, like in terms of business development with those universities and schools? like what's the current approach that you would encourage people to have? Like, for example, you and I, we are working together, so I already know, but tell people like, how can someone, you know, like I own a school, I want to reach out and I want to develop a program. I want to start a program. I don't know if it can be a language program. I can be, you know, like, doesn't matter. If you have an educational institution, like what would be the approach to have just to start a project from the ground up?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. That was one of the, you know, when we're asked, what's the problem you're solving? And really one of the problems that we're addressing as a company is allowing that first step into virtual reality as an institution, because there's so much information out there. Where do I start? How do I have an effective program? I just got back from the Future of Education Technology Conference in Orlando 2 weeks ago, and many schools came up to me and said, hey, we got 25 headsets, but we don't know what to do with them. Like, there's some free apps out there. There's some platforms. What do we do? And that's where VEDX has developed VR class packs. So it's an all-inclusive case of headsets. We can do the self-contained Wi-Fi. It's UVC sanitized. And it comes with a content built in, or content that you can build as a university with your license fee. And that's your first step. Get started with some headsets and the content builder and get going with it. Now, sometimes there's a challenge with Wi-Fi. Well, there's a challenge with Wi-Fi globally. I mean, that's the two logistical issues right now, is Wi-Fi access at many places and hardware access. So if you're Mark out here listening, please get some more headsets out to countries like Brazil. Like, open that market with the hardware and bring these people into the metaverse fully, right? I mean, right now, if you're in Brazil, you can order a headset via Amazon. It gets there. And that's an easy way to do it as a consumer. Easiest, in fact, it's the best way. But if you're a university in Brazil, consult with Twain. They're operating there in Brazil as VEDX, and or in partnership with VEDX. And if you're anywhere else in the world watching, just reach out to our site, of course, and we can do a consultation. Even if you don't end up doing anything, we're always here to do that first consultation with you. We also have professional development if you already have headsets. So let's say you're a university or a school and your teachers just need professional training on how to teach in VR. We're also doing that. So we do a 1, a 3, and a 5-day training for teachers. If you've already got headsets, you've got that all solved. You don't need the whole hardware pack, but you'd like the content builder and how to use it. We just do that training also.
Which is extremely important, because we actually just saw during the pandemic, like, teachers were struggling with, now I have to actually learn how to make the best out of Google Meet and Zoom. So like for VR, it's going to be even more difficult in terms of like now we have to also to educate teachers. So it's not only about getting hardware, building a program, and let's go. It's also about educating educators about this new, these new possibilities in the, let's say, metaverse. So I mean, that's what I think it's great, you know, like, but the business side is also like very, there are huge opportunities because it's a vast field. It's a new field, it's open. But how do you see the big companies tackling that? How do you see, like, because big companies can literally go to VEDX and say, listen, we are facing challenges. We don't know how to strategize inside the metaverse. We don't know how to start, because starting is also hard. People are getting, you know, used to like understanding that avatars will play a role and they have to be educated, like, okay, so we're going to have an avatar. So the company will have avatars and we're going to interact with people differently, for example, in this infinityverse. And like, how do you see big companies going to the metaverse, and how you could, like, in your line of work, you could help them? So for example, if Coca-Cola wants to start something, how would they do it? Like, how could they do it? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where the discovery call comes into place. Like, we need to know what the goals of that company are. And I'll throw out a couple of use cases. A couple of companies we've worked with love the idea of virtual reality because virtual reality has a very specific use case. It's collaboration in a multiplayer space.
Right.
It's asynchronous training. So if you have a workforce that, normally you would have flown them out to a space, put them in front of controls. They did 2 days of making sure they knew how to operate those controls or safety procedures. All that costs you about 3,000 employee, every time. Once you've developed the lab in virtual reality, you ship a headset for $300 to that employee and have them train in the headset. Saves all that travel cost. And so that's a use case. Another use case is collaboration around a new product. So working with Future Tech Labs, they can build a showroom with us where they can put their product in the middle and actually show it to executives all around the world, take a look at it 3D, interact with it, have it displayed. With our partners, Victory XR, we can put preloaded content in there, but also content can be built. And that content also can be, like I said, a Wi-Fi challenge earlier. It can be built so it's downloaded and on the headset, and Wi-Fi no longer needed. So the only thing Wi-Fi still stands in the way is that multiplayer collaboration in a platform like the Infiniverse.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also, like, what I liked about what you said is that it comes with the company's goals. Like, what is the problem that VR will address? So do you want training? Do you want scalability for the training term and reduce logistics? Just like the logistics cost, like I think this is amazing because we saw different use cases in different industries. Education, for example, we have seen some institutions giving out like hardware, so like the headsets for some students, so they could experiment in their own houses, like a virtual reality lab. And that's huge, just to consider in this, like from the standpoint of an university, for example, like how much it cost a laboratory, like a real lab, like maybe like $1 million, depending on and you can have like a really top notch where you can experiment in multiple environments with multiple different kinds of experiments. So not only like, for example, medic, precisely you can use for STEM and whatever, and for a small fraction of the cost. I'm not going to say the cost, it can range, but it's a fraction, like sometimes 10% depending on the lab. And it provides a huge benefit.
Yeah,
now, like, go ahead.
Anything that's dangerous, like costs a company a lot in insurance, and not everybody can train. But now you can do dangerous things in virtual reality, suffer the consequences without the danger. Right? That's amazing. Medical, for education, any pre-med program out there, you can do dissections, forensic discovery, you can
surgery.
One of our partners, Cimex, does this live med training where you are a medvac and you've got to save somebody, or for nurses, their first nursing training, right? So our partner Cimex, that's what I said, we went out there and partnered with the best people that we could insert into this portal, this closed area for a company or for a school.
Talk us a little bit about architecture for VEDX. You guys can build for a company, and that's something a lot of people miss, which is to understand that, for example, metaverse, it's all about interoperability, right? So jumping, like, you're not going to be contained in one environment. So working in the metaverse, it's not like, oh, you're going to work in Facebook workroom. It's not going to be like that. It's not only going to be like that. You need to use different platforms. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do with architecture in that regard. And
you mean as far as the field of architecture, right? Or are you talking about metaverse architecture?
No. Well, you can say both, because, for example, VEDX headquarters, I have my own headquarters and I have access to different environments.
Yep.
So for example, for everybody that's watching, like VEDX has an online, a virtual reality headquarters, HQ. And inside that headquarter, we have access to different worlds, which is one of the premises of the metaverse, which is to access different worlds. Portal worlds. Yeah. So talk us a little bit about that and the importance of not only for education, but also for business in general.
Yeah, there's not a single company out here in the world, and that's the idea, is that just like the internet brought companies together in a space for advertising, so will the metaverse. You have different landing pages. If you conceptualizing it, if you think about your phone, you have all these apps, but you have to go to your phone screen and select an app, or select this app, or select this. With the metaverse, Web3, you get in there to your portal, you build these doors. They can be customized for the very specific things that you want your employees or your students to access, particular laboratories, particular partners of ours, and then head off into that space, do your work, and come back into the main social headquarters or the main company headquarters. And that's part of what we help just get all set up for them, instead of somebody going virtual reality company to virtual reality company and then trying to kind of piece it together like building a car. We do all that, but we can also build custom content. So we have our own team also that helps put all that together. So, you know, it's definitely an exciting space. I'm really happy to be living out the dream that one Brazilian student came to me and said, I can't go there. I can't afford to go there. But well, now there's access. And if we can just get the headsets for mass consumerism, you know, in the countries that they're not in right now, like Brazil, that would be, I mean, that's the kicker, right? Now we jumpstart this. Let's jumpstart this.
Which is something that companies already, you know, are doing. Facebook, now they were able to put it out there like a headset that is affordable. And now other companies would do the same. And we are getting now people are actually also understanding the power like of the hardware itself. A lot of people had bad impressions around VR.
Yeah, the cardboard.
The cardboard, you know, the experience with so I'm gonna use my phone, you know. So there were so many limitations in place until 3 years ago. Let's say 4 years ago. Like it was tough. And it was very limited with 3 degrees of freedom. So it was very restrained. Now people are kind of like understanding the power of the 6 dove headset. So like for everybody that's watching, what do you want? What do you actually, well, the reality of the hardware now for the future is 6 degrees of freedom, which includes all access. So you're gonna walk around, you're gonna have multiple experiences with multiple players, and you're gonna be able to just use your whole body.
Hand tracking, selections.
Exactly. So it's now we are getting the power of the hardware actually being, you know, being promoted in the right way. So now the technology of VR is actually being correctly, you know, promoted. You know, now I show people the hardware, and I not only the hardware but any other like okay, so I'm gonna put you on Engage, or I'm gonna show you this this fight app that I have or something, and they are just amazed. So now it's the new age, you know, and we're gonna see more and more hardware being you know,
released,
cost efficient. And also
and that's a good point. Is when I talk about getting the Oculus Quest 2, it's the most affordable standalone powerful headset in the market for consumers, right? I want to get that in everybody's hands, number one. Number two, like the Vive Focus 3, amazing for business apps. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's all controlled with whatever the business wants. So only what the business wants is what the employees see as far as apps. You know, so it's more for a business purpose. And of course, you've got the Pico too, that's very accessible, but neither of those are really on the consumer market. The only consumer headset is the Quest 2. And so that's where we spend most of our time partnering and developing with the app providers, just because of the availability. I mean, for foot traffic, for consumerism, I mean, the Quest 2 is ahead of that in the consumer game.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like, I mean, where we are getting now. just remember smartphones 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you know, like it changed dramatically. And now we, you know, it's a new frontier. Like people, if you remember what happened, remember the app industry in the beginning, like where people were making tons of money by releasing apps, right? I think we're going to see like a more mature version in the metaverse because it's very recent. It's new tech is coming into place, more hardware is being put it out there, and so many apps that weren't able to, you know, they couldn't be made in terms of like programming wise, they were able to, but the technology wasn't there. So now we have all these new technologies that will flourish inside the metaverse, inside this new reality of the hardware, around the hardware. So it's going to be extremely exciting. So yeah.
I mean, I guess just kind of wrapping up, if I think about the pieces that need to come into play as a university. Number one, talk to your department heads. Talk about how you integrate this into a 5-year strategy. International recruitment or national recruitment of students to your university, right? This perfect recruiting app, 360 videos, live admissions support, inquiry forms, all of it can be built into recruitment apps. That we work on that. Second piece is the university. What STEM labs can you save money on or add to your university profile? Maybe you couldn't afford a nuclear reactor, but you had a professor that wants to build out a VR lab for nuclear physics. Great, you can do it in virtual reality now. You know, so it's got to be built in. It's got to be budgeted. It's not a short term like, hey, let's do this. Let's put this into the long term investment strategy. Hardware is going to change, but this isn't going anywhere. I mean, Web3 is here to stay. And if you're a company, you know, you start thinking about how does this work for my HR? How do I do language support for my global company, right? So we have virtual reality language software that we can incorporate into the packages. How do I do DEI training or interview skills or management, development, and leadership? Our partner Body Swaps. We're going to do another, we're going to actually be in the Infiniverse with Body Swaps this tomorrow at 5 p.m. Our time, but you know. But what that does is you get to pretend to be an interviewer and then the interviewee, and you get to pretend to be the manager and then the employee. And so you've got this conflict resolution, leadership, DEI, all of this training that you can build in as a company. So again, it's a strategic investment. What am I going to do with this? How is it going to fit into my current business plan? And look at the ROI, the return on the investment from the training, the labs, and the consistent team building. So. All
right. So Priscilla, do you want to ask Jay something? I think it was great content delivered by Jay, someone that is breaking barriers. You know, it's you know, you're literally on the ground, you know, like building this, you know, you're in this early stage of this new tech. And well, I appreciate your time, and I think we are about to wrap it up. Priscilla, do you want to say anything?
I want to say thank you for Jay. Your talk is very rich, and we and all that are doing the VR Day here at João Pessoa are very happy with you, with your talking, and is going to be very grateful for us. We are come to the end, and if everybody wants to say something for the last words.
Well, I think it was a great chat, and for someone that is actually building, helping, you know, building business. And once again, thank you, Jay.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Obrigado, and I hope to see you soon in the Infiniverse.
All right, see you there.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.